Football is here. It is finally here. Welcome back to the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast presented by the Fantasy Football by Broto app. A reminder that while I'm going to very much enjoy going through these news updates for week one with you right now, the whole episode of this podcast, the total episode of this podcast, and the place where you can get on the mailbag and ask us specific questions about your team. Patreon.com/BrotoFantasy to support the show for as little as $3. And if you want to support us, our baby, our pride and joy, our prized possession that we want to put out into the world, the Fantasy Football by Broto app. Check it out. It's free. It will not be free forever, people. It's free now. Go take advantage. In the meantime, we got the news updates for you. We have the top storylines to go over in week one for you. We have all the injury updates for you. We have our favorite games of the week for you. We got the mailbag for you. Patreon.com/BrotoFantasy. Let's get it started. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast presented by BrotoFantasy.com and the Fantasy Football by Broto app, the only tool you need to dominate fantasy football. If you can't already tell by the intro, I am hyped today. Football is back, and I am joined by a very, 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 very special guest. My brother from a south of the border mother himself, the man, Santiago Casanova. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Happy to be here. It's been a while since I was in the weekly.
Yes, it is, and we're lucky to have you. We obviously killed it during the heat wave,
Yes, sir.
if I must say so myself. Look, here's what's going down. Michael's not here, as you guys know if you've been part of the brand for a long time. Michael is in Vegas right now with the big FFPC drafts that are going down for the $1 million and stuff like that. He's one of the major contributors to that. So he's in Vegas. And he's always in Vegas for week one. He has his rankings up right now. The rankings are available on the Fantasy Football by Broto app. The rankings are available on our website, brotofantasy.com. Our newly improved website, by the way. Ever since the app has come about, the website, we haven't been promoting the website as much, but the website is still doing those numbers. And we just updated it by the hands of Broto, FF Casanova here. Some upgrades. So, yeah, go check that out. We got some new articles on. We got the bus and sleepers coming up. We got Themi's teasers coming up. By the way, if you're in the betting game, the teasers that Themi hit on 77.8% of his individual legs last year on the teasers. Extremely impressive number. So check that out if you want to make some cash. We got Clay's Corner for DFS. We got the Devi dives for Trenton. We have so much coming, so much great stuff coming at you from Broto. Check it all out. And you know why you got to check all that out? Because it's week one. And it's time. It's no longer, maybe this guy will do this, maybe this guy. No, the games are going down. The teams you drafted are about to get tested. Cass, you did a bunch of drafts. I did a bunch of drafts. What was your favorite strategy? Like, what made you end up with the team that you liked the most at the end of the day?
I mean, this is a little. I mean, I have two scenarios. One, because I did like a very homey work league where people don't know their stuff. Ended up with the likes of Stefan Diggs, Bijan Robinson on the same team, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But the majority of my drafts, I found out I was just kind of going late running back. If I was either doing like seesaw, like I've always been a fan of seesaw running back, so I was hitting guys early like Tony Pollard, as I did in our league and your home league, which I'm a part of now.
We drafted against each other. Cass has a very Broto team. I'll say that.
I do.
You're representing the brand with that team.
Oh yeah. So everything's on the line. If I don't win that league, kind of fucked. But then I ended up going for later guys like Javonte Williams or my guy Alexander Madison, which was impossible to get when I drafted against you guys. So like in the Tingle and in the home league, he went 3 rounds early and I was not able to get him.
Yeah.
But in many other drafts, I did end up getting him. So I ended up with combos like Pollard, Javonte, Madison for my running backs with a side of Samaje and Jerick McKinnon in my bench, stuff like that, and going heavy on wide receivers. I'm in a 5 wide receiver league, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I was a big fan of taking wide receivers early, even if you didn't get like the top guys, you still had the likes of Olave, T Higgins going. So that was my main draft like building. I also procured to get one of the top QBs starting in the 4th round, not earlier. So if like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, even like Hurts fell sometimes to the 4th round, I was pulling the trigger there. That was like my mindset going into those drafts.
Yeah, I like it. I was very much on the board of the early wide receiver as well this year.
Oh
It
yeah,
it, it surprised me
yeah, yeah.
because you know me. My draft strategy for the last 20 years has been I need to leave the first 3 rounds with at least 2 running backs, and it's been
Running backs.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
previous to this year.
Okay.
That was
Oh, I see.
what
I see. Yeah,
that
yeah.
was my gospel. If anyone's been listening to this, and it's been very
Sheesh.
very successful. Like it's not
Yeah.
as if like I have bad teams. Like even when I don't win championships, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I literally never miss the playoffs in any league. Like I'm
I
playing the
mean,
playoffs in
honestly, yeah,
every
I'm the
single
same.
league.
Kind of.
Yeah, so it's like I obviously it's the strategy's working out. So like I hope I didn't just jinx myself. I have to knock on wood on that one because the fantasy gods
Please
are
do.
not happy with
Yeah.
people that do that. I
Nah.
apologize, fantasy gods. I respect you. All right, but yeah, this year was different. This year I needed that wide receiver in the first round. I needed it. I
Yo,
passed
like
on
yeah.
Tony Pollard to draft Stephon Diggs in our league. No, I didn't. What did you
No,
draft?
no. Pollard was later. I was either 9th or 11th.
Yo, you
Like
were
I
the
was
ninth
like,
pick. I was the 10th pick. You sniped me
I
so many
see. Yeah.
times. You sniped me so. Oh no, you were the 11th pick.
I don't. I'm not even sure. I was like
Yeah,
next to you, and
yeah,
I
we were
was either
next to
nine or
each other.
11. So
Either way,
yeah.
like I needed that go-to wide receiver. I feel like because of the new way that the NFL is structured, where there's more part-time backs and there's more passing. So because there's more passing, there's more opportunities for wide receivers. It's almost as if these number one guys are the new workhorse running backs because they're guys that under any circumstance, that doesn't matter the circumstance, are going to get
Yeah.
10 to 15 to 20 targets per game. And
Hmm.
that's what it is.
I mean, 20 is a little steep, but
I mean, some of these guys,
yeah.
20
Yeah. I mean,
steep.
yeah.
I'm being
You're right.
a little hyperbolic there.
Facetious.
Yeah, yeah.
Hyperbolic.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. But I gotta sell it. I gotta sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
It's
course.
the art of the deal. All right. With that being said, speaking of selling it, let's get into this player news. Hold on. Before we get into this player news, there's only one way to do it. Where are you? Where are you, Donnie H? Are you here, Donnie H?
Donnie H.
Oh no, Donnie H left us. We're not prepared with Donnie H. The audio file is like, oh no, the audio file's messing up. I'm clicking play and it's not working. No.
Moment of silence for Donnie H. He left us.
Oh, moment of
He's in a better
silence for
place
Donnie
now.
H. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess you just got to get into the news then. What a man, that one hurt my soul not hearing Donnie H. But anyway, one guy's whose soul is not hurt at all is Joe Burrow. So just so you know what time we're doing this and how and where we're at in the day, because news changes quickly. You can find us, by the way, at Broto Fantasy and at FF by Broto on Twitter for updates, and also the Fantasy
Yes, sir.
Football by Broto app sending you those push noties. But it is currently, as always, as is tradition, we are coming to you live during the Thursday night football game. So we love you guys because we're podcasting while the first game of the season
Oh
is
yeah,
on.
bro. Like it hits different. Like
Yeah.
seeing that first TD. Oof.
I mean, and Amon-Ra St. Brown has already recovered. It's halftime right now, 7-7. 14-7 in the game. Rashee Rice looking impressive so far. He in the first half, he has something like 45 yards and a touchdown, something like that. If you have Rashee Rice on your roster, you're feeling pretty good right now. And if there's no one with Rashee Rice on their roster, he's probably going to get a pretty penny on the waiver wire.
Oh yeah.
Wait, let's preview that a little bit. What do you think? If you had to, like Rashee Rice, he's got no Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes
I
is
drafted him a
quarterback.
ton at the end of drafts. Like
There you
I
go.
targeted him. I
you got him.
targeted him.
You got all these things playing a role. It like plus he's a second round pick, so he has high draft capital. It's not like he doesn't have high draft capital. This is a guy who's going to go for some money in your fantasy leagues, no matter what he does.
Yeah, I just switched to Fab on my home league as well, so that's gonna be interesting.
Fab is cool, man. Fab is the only way to do it. I can't do waivers.
Yo,
I can't do waivers
nine
no more.
years, 9 years, and I finally got him to switch.
Thank you, bro. Like it's a whole different ball game. It's just
I'm gonna
it's
send
so
him this
good.
clip. Yeah,
All right.
they gotta know.
So with that being said, yeah, Rashi Rice making some noise. Let well, the first piece of news really, it's kind of old at this point because the game is going on. But Travis Kelce going to miss a game. Noah Gray, like this is something that I gave a lot of advice out for Twitter. Said this is not a situation where Noah Gray is going to take Travis Kelce's place and
No,
everything's going to be hunky dory. Noah Gray did get a big target downfield so far in this game, but he was like shook by the safety and bailed out. Yeah, that's not a situation. So everyone who was telling me, should I start Eric Gray? I was telling
no.
them no, and so far so good. I hope I didn't jinx that either. All right, so let's get into this Joe Burrow news.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow,
hit it.
5 years, $275 million extension through
Yeah,
2028.
yeah.
This just dropped 48 minutes ago. Interesting timing, but you knew this deal was going to get done. I mean, what else is there to say? Joe Cool, he's the man. How do you feel about this, Cass?
I mean, like we knew because this is a guy that was going into deep playoff runs. He was a coveted guy going into the draft, and he's delivered. Like he delivered everything he promised. He got an injury there, an injury here, but come on, they were gonna extend him. I like it. They're my AFC North rivals, but I love it.
Cass, a Steelers fan, for those of you who may have
I am.
forgotten.
I am. Yeah, it's
Um,
not something super public, but never forget.
okay, moving on.
Although,
Something that I was already worried about Kenneth Walker. I was worried about him because of the fact that they drafted Zach Charbonnet in the second round, a little bit higher than they drafted Kenneth Walker, if I'm not mistaken. The year after they drafted Ken Walker, now he has a groin, limited him for several weeks out of training camp. Now it is back 3 days before the opener. According to NBC Sports, aka Roto World, it is quite possible that the Seahawks are simply limiting Walker's reps heading into Sunday's tilt with the Rams. But Walker is yes. So basically, if you weren't worried before, there's reason to worry even more now because if Zach Charbonnet, if he's out and Charbonnet does come out with a bang, there's a chance that Kenneth Walker never gets on the field again, especially because of the
yep,
way that he um, just the way he runs. He's a big play machine. So, with that being said, um, what do you think about this, Cass? I don't have any shares of Kenneth Walker. I thought he was going in a kind of ridiculous spot in the draft
yep,
considering Zach
absolutely, yep.
Charbonnet. But how are you feeling about Ken Walker? If you're a manager of Ken Walker, how are you feeling right now?
Not great. Like we had talked about how the Seahawks sometimes draft a running back, but then not necessarily use it. Like we saw it with Rashad Penny and Chris Carson at the time. But when you're getting injured like this at a pivotal moment of the career, like they just drafted a new guy, possibly your replacement, and you're injured like this, nah, man. Like it's not great. I have Zach Charbonnet in a couple leagues, late stash in the later rounds, and I'm happy to see this because I think this is a very stealable roster spot,
Agreed. Agreed.
especially
Um,
because he wasn't fantastic when he played.
yeah, he was just like kind of 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 40 yards,
Yeah,
1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 20 yards. It's like
which is not bad, but it's not irreplaceable.
it's inconsistent, and
Yeah,
Pete Carroll likes his Chris Carsons. He likes his Marshawn Lynch's. You know what I mean? He likes his reliable dudes that, Marshawn Lynch did break his fair share of big runs, but he was not. He was in no way a
he
big
was also
play machine.
consistent.
Right. He was consistent. He was consistent. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know, man. I think the tea leaves are reading Zach Charbonnet. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of where my gut is telling me right now. Jalen
yeah.
Waddle. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. Before we get into
Oblique.
Jalen Waddle, actually,
Oh,
let's get into Jalen Waddle. He was upgraded to full for Thursday's practice. Good to see. Looks like he's going to be playing for week one. Obviously, he's a start. So let's get into the new one. George Kittle remained limited for Thursday's practice. Now, Matt Barrows, who wrote this little blurb, he's making it feel like George Kittle being out is no big deal. And that he might just be he's just getting a rest. He might be off the practice report. But I will say this: with the history of this dude the last couple of years, if George Kittle is on the injury report, I am scared, and I'm making a plan. I'm making a plan. I'm
Yeah.
pivoting
Oh, you gotta
somewhere.
make a plan. You gotta make a plan. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make a plan. So we're going to be talking in the patreon.com/Broto Fantasy. In the mailbag, there is a question about streaming tight ends. So we're going to be talking at
Oh,
extent which tight ends we like this week, which ones we
I like that.
which ones we target. So again, patreon.com/Broto Fantasy for as little as $3 a month, you'll be able to hear the entire length of what we're talking about. All right, let's keep going. Nick Bosa back to practicing with the team. For those who are playing IDP, very very nice to see that. Definitely. Some injury news. Really, is the injury news that's coming right now. Odell Beckham ankle was limited on Thursday's practice. He was added to the report on Thursday, so and he still had a limited session. So that really tells you one of two things: either he was on the injury report, and he practiced anyway, or he got injured during the practice. Either way, this is Odell Beckham Jr., another George Kittle situation. Like, when this guy is on the injury report, I am concerned. And I wasn't really buying all the Odell hype coming into the
Oh
season.
yeah.
Yeah, are you on the same page, Cass?
Nah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wasn't on the hype either, and Odo has his fair share of injuries, especially to like the tail end of his career. So concerning.
I'll, I'll tell you what hype I am on board. I'm on the Zay Flowers train. And Mark Andrews
I
a
like
little
that.
hobbled.
I also like that.
Zay Flowers is a target hog. He's a machine. So I like myself some Zay, especially if Odell Beckham is limited in any way. That should open up some even more opportunities. Um, yeah, not good news coming out of Green Bay. Well, some good news and some worse news.
Very bad
Uh,
news.
yes, Christian Watson, who was going at wide receiver 24, and it seems like creeping up one wide receiver spot per day by last week. Um, he has a hamstring injury, and motherfucker, those hamstring injuries, those stupid freaking hamstring injuries, they never, 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 never let us have nice things.
Horrible,
These
man.
hamstring
Horrible.
injuries, um, man,
Same as
remain
Romeo Dubs too.
sidelines, remain sidelines for Thursday's practice. And I know he's young and I know he's athletic, but the hamstring, when you have a hamstring like this, even if he does suit up and play, I know it's week one. I know it's start the guys you drafted, but if he suits up and plays, his risk of re-injury is sky high compared to some other stuff. So, Cass, question for you:
Yeah.
because Romeo Dubs came back to practice, he got a limited session in. Romeo
Still a
Dubs
hamstring though.
hasn't been practicing because of a hamstring,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, oh man, two wide receivers on the outside, two hamstring injuries. Very concerning for Jordan Love. Very concerning for the Packers. How are you
Poor
feeling
guy,
about
man.
this, Cass?
Yeah. I'm just staying away from that Packers offense. It wasn't fantastic for fantasy when Aaron Rodgers was there. Now it's like Jordan Love's turn to make magic, and you don't have your top wide receivers. I mean, come on, man. That's just set up for failure. I'm staying away from that offense for fantasy, just in general. Like, I mean, if you have Aaron Jones, like for some reason, sure,
Maybe some
but
AJ
like
Dillon action.
I French. I'm not a fan.
All right, so let's look at AJ Dillon and where I have him ranked. All right,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm gonna say some guys around that area, and you tell me if you would start him over them.
Okay,
Tyler
okay.
Algier,
Dylan.
Samaje Perine,
Pirine.
Brian Robinson,
Dylan.
Elijah Mitchell,
Mitchell.
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, absolutely.
All right, so
He's supposed to be the starter this week.
that gives you an
Because,
idea.
yeah.
That gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. They have my rankings locked. What is this? What is this nonsense? They have my
Yo,
rankings
mine
locked.
mine don't show up either. I don't know. It's weird.
What's going on
If
here?
you want to check out the rankings, go to the FF by Broto app. You can find all our rankings there.
Bang 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 bang
Yeah,
bang.
yeah.
Let's get into. All right, come on. I'm on the wrong. What's going on here? I'm on the wrong tab. There it is. All right.
What's going on
I
now?
think I think this one's pretty interesting.
All right.
The Joker, Cordell Patterson, listed as Joker on the starting, what is that called, depth chart. Listed as Joker. That's a completely made up term. He was
And I love
drafted as a
it.
wide receiver. He plays running back. He has a very innovative coach, but he's also has a thigh
Return
injury.
specialist.
Return specialist. He also has a thigh injury though. So I
Ha.
mean, are you even at all even coming close to considering Cordell Patterson?
As a starter, no. Like, no.
It would be
He
interesting,
was
maybe.
he was great. I don't remember if it was last season, 2 seasons ago. He was fantastic
Yeah.
when he just became. It was last season. He just had like this run, insane run, and I loved it because I had him in a bunch of places. But right now, at this point, you can't. You're like, nah.
It was 2 seasons ago. I remember it was in a league
Damn, it's
where
just
I
like
made that.
brain mush.
I made that. Anyway, I made a very bad mistake, thinking that someone was offering me a trade because I didn't know Sleeper that well yet, and
Oh
I
yeah,
was actually getting offered, like, I thought I was getting his part of the
is he
deal.
unlimited? Yeah.
I thought he was getting his part of the deal, and I traded, like, I made a terrible trade, and Cordell Patterson saved my season that year. Um, Zach Ertz was limited in Thursday's practice. Terry McLaurin was a full participant in Thursday's practice. That is a fantastic news. He had turf toe, so that
Yes,
usually
sir.
keeps guys out.
Yes, sir.
He has a great matchup against the Cardinals. Are you going full force on Terry McLaurin?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, like full participant in practice, and I don't want to spoil the rest of the episode, but that will come back. That's going to come
Oh,
back.
all right. We'll talk about Terry McLaurin a little later.
Yeah, yeah.
Patreon.com/Broto Fantasy. All right. Another concerning one here. Hollywood Brown, who looks like he's in a place where he's like, in his picture on the blurb, it
Yeah.
looks like he's trying to communicate with his eyes, like, I'm trapped, help me. That's like that's that's literally, yeah, like, I feel bad for him. It looks like he just looks like he's just sad in his soul. And I don't blame him because he has a
I
hamstring
don't
injury.
either. Yeah.
Those
And he
damn
plays for the Cards.
hamstrings, always those damn hamstrings.
Yeah, yeah.
And he has to catch passes from Josh Dobbs. So look, a lot of people are in a position where they drafted Hollywood Brown to be a starting player. So you're probably going to
That
start
would
him
be
this
me.
week. Hi, ugh.
If he plays, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's, again, high risk of re-injury. Low reward, high risk, low reward. So, for me,
That's true.
if I could sit him, I am.
If you can, yeah. But most people drafted him in a position where you can't. I think to be a wide receiver 3 at worst, and like your bench option is not superbly startable. You know what I mean? Like at that point, I'd rather risk it.
All right, let's go to the rankings again, so I could see, like, kind of where
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
looking
Just test
at
me. Test me.
in terms of who you start over him. All right. Um, what about Jahan Dotson?
I'll keep an eye on the injury report as the game comes closer, and if it's still not looking great, I'm going Dotson. Like
Yeah.
if it's still really in doubt,
Juju Smith-Schuster,
probably Brown.
Brandon Cooks.
Because he might luck into a touchdown. Like I can just visualize it right now. So it's tough. That's like borderline. Let's just go with Cooks. I don't know, man. Cooks, yeah.
It's a
I'll go
tough
with
one
Cooks.
'cause I got him
Yeah,
ranked back to
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Um, George Pickens,
Pickens,
Christian Kirk.
Marquise.
Okay, so kind of in the middle of that group right there.
Yeah, you're like your rankings are tough.
And I gotta make some changes, man. I'm looking at some of these rankings, like, yo, I gotta get these rankings updated for Sunday, man. Like,
Oh yeah,
I'm a lot higher on
yeah, me too.
Samaje Perine than some people may be. I have,
Love me some Samaje Perine.
yeah, I need to
So
do
much
the proper
potential.
thing um with a lot of people here. I think there are some people that are going to surprise. I think Tyler Algier is going to get a little run this week. I think AJ Dillon, now that the news is coming out about these wide receivers, I think he should be moved up a bit. I think there's a few guys that need to be moved up in my ranking. So check out that we are updating our rankings all the way up until Sunday. So check those out on the Fantasy Football by Broto app and brotofantasy.com. Let's continue with the news here. Kendre Miller, another hamstring. Dude, I can't with these hamstrings. But he did not practice on Thursday, which means it looks like Jamal Williams is going to
There we
be,
go.
a very widely used player. He's going to have a lot of opportunity, and we know that he can ball. So, I mean, Jamal Williams might have to be moved up into wide receiver 2 territory if that's the case, to be honest.
Running back.
Running back 2 territory, to be honest.
Honestly, yeah, like back end, because we saw it even with the Lions, even when Swift was playing, Jamal Williams got his own, and he has been a solid player throughout his career. So, like, I'm starting him. If I have him, I don't in many leagues. Like, I think I have him in one, but where I do, I'm probably starting him.
Uh, well, yeah, I think
Especially like it
starting
goes with
him.
my strategy, because I did some of that like high running back and then get the lower guys like in later rounds. So
Mm,
that's why I'd be in a position of starting him in like in a flex spot.
yeah, I mean, he's gonna get mad carries. So
Yeah,
that's what you want in fantasy.
and he
It's
handles that goal line too.
Colts running back Zach Moss was limited in Thursday's practice. It does not look like he's going to play, which means Deion Jackson will get the start. Evan Hull, who was a pass catching specialist, who profiles to be the pass catching specialist, looks like it's going to be a combination of Deion Jackson and Evan Hull. If you're in a desperate spot here, do you think you could start one of these guys, Deion Jackson and the rookie I should mention, Evan Hull, in his first game?
Deion Jackson, like we saw the Jackson magic for a couple games when he started for the injured Taylor. I'm not super happy about it. Like those type of runs are one of a kind. I think unknown running back comes in, steps up. I'm not happy about if I have to start him, so I'm avoiding that.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, yeah, we're definitely on the same page. Something, I mean, I guess if you're desperate, you could do worse than Deion Jackson, but I'm trying to avoid that.
You could, but yeah, like you just it's more of an avoid than a don't start.
Like if you lost Cooper Cup and you had a wide receiver in your flex and you need to, like, let's say you had, like, I don't know, uh, so who's a wide receiver that would be a flex worthy? Deontay Johnson. Or you move Deontay Johnson into your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 spot. You move him up there. It makes sense. But yeah,
Sure.
Mark Andrews practiced again on Thursday. Great news. Looks like Mark
Yeah,
Andrews is
yeah.
going to play week 1. Start him and be happy about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Agree.
Wandell Robinson was limited on Thursday. Do you think the Giants are going to give Wandell Robinson any run right now? He's in a crowded room at the moment. How you feeling?
I'm I don't have him anywhere. Never have. When he came in, and I don't think he's in a great position to succeed. The injury does not help, so I'm completely out right now.
Let's move on to the next piece of news here. Dalvin Cook is said to be a full go against the Bills. He will not be limited in practice. Brees Hall also looks like he's set to play. They might ease them in. I would imagine both these guys get a bunch of touches. How are you feeling about this running back situation? Are you starting both? Are you prefer one over the other? If you have both, which one are you going with? What do you think?
If I do have both, and for some reason I can't start them both, like I have to make a decision, I'm probably going with Breeze. Because he's still a fantastic player, and he's been with the team. Dalvin Cook is also great. He's aging now, and he was like a late addition. So if I am picking, I'm picking Breeze. If I have both for some reason, yeah, sure, why not roll with both and see what happens. Like limit your chances of getting of picking the wrong guy. Uh, I cannot think of many team building like team strategies where you ended up with both and have to start them both. But if you do, yeah, just minimize, start them both, see what happens. You agree?
I got some updates on some injury reports that I'm going to hit you with 3 of them in a row, and because
Okay.
they're all good news. Devon excuse me. He was a full participant. Mike Evans, full
Nice.
participant. JSN,
Nice.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, full participant.
Nice.
Yes, so we're gonna get to see what the rookie got, both these rookies, and we're gonna get to see what the veteran has. If you were starting these guys before, are you full go? And what do you think How do you think Devon A Chain is going to be used in this backfield?
I mean, as for Mike Evans, yeah, for sure, JSN. I'm probably also just starting him. Like, if you got the discount from the injury, because that was a pretty big question mark. You know, it's a surgery and everything. So if you bought the dip, you're probably very happy right now. As for Achane, A Chain, A Train, whatever. I'm not sure. Like, Miami backfield scares me. It's one of those build your own backfield type stuff that we've seen with the 49ers, and now McDaniels has brought to Miami, where you have just a bunch of guys that can do it and no one stands out per se. So I'm probably not starting him week one.
Patrick Mahomes just threw a pick six,
Sheesh.
which is terrible for my Scott Fishbowl team.
I have no
And
Mahomes anywhere. Crazy.
so if you were one of the people who decided to I just watched a replay of the pick. It literally was right in between the numbers of Kadarius Toney, and then he just popped it up right to the defender
Nice.
who ran it back. So um yeah, definitely not on Mahomes, but if you were starting the Lions defense, that's some set of cojones you have, partner, and you deserve that pick six.
Oh yeah.
In terrible news that I would never want to hear, the Jets hosted free agent wide receiver Kenny Galladay for a visit. Stay the hell away from my
Oh
team.
no.
Stay away from my team, Kenny.
Yo, he was so promising, man. Whatever. What happened? What happened to him?
So Sean Payton said that Javonte Williams will play a big role against the Raiders in Week 1. Now he is recovering from multiple torn ligaments in his knee. He avoided the pup list. Now they're talking about big role. If you are a Javonte Williams manager, you might be excited, but I will say this: remember, the words that come out of Sean Payton's mouth sometimes, most of the time,
Yeah.
don't have truth connected. He's not very a big truth teller. So this could just be a bluff. He could just be trying to throw people off to get a little bit of a different game plan, so they can exploit that weakness. Or he might be telling the truth, which I think we're gonna see. I'm for me personally, just the way reading the tea leaves, I think I'm a little high on Samaje Perine. I think he's gonna get a
Yeah.
majority of the work in the beginning of the year. How are you feeling?
I think we're looking at like a 60-40 split at most for Javante, which is good, like startable, but not big role as described by the aforementioned liar. So like I'm still looking at the starting Samaje in some leagues, and Javante is also like a go, but don't expect big things. Like big role is a stretch.
So we saved the best for last. This is the last news item that we are going to hit on, and it is, of course, Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup will not play in Week
Yeah,
1. This is something that, look, we mentioned many times. We mentioned also on the heat wave, I believe, that when you have a hamstring injury and you're 31 years old, it's a problem.
crazy.
It's going to stay a problem,
You'd
and it's
know
going to
about
be
that,
a
right?
problem. Huh?
You'd know about that, like hamstring injuries after 30.
Yeah.
They hit different. They
Yeah,
hit
I know
different.
very well. I got a hamstring injury when I was 32, and I didn't fully recover until I was 34. Now, I'm not a world class athlete, all
Mhm.
right? But
That, yeah, sure.
I mean, I also I play a lot of ball. And sometimes, that
You
hamstring,
do.
then that
You
spot,
do.
it gets tight, man. Again, and it bothers me. So, I mean, hamstrings are just so, and I'm good about it. I stretch, I do all these things, and sometimes you just gotta, I don't know, sometimes you just gotta eat it, I guess. But obviously there are ramifications. Van Jefferson, Puka Nakua, Tutu Atwell. Out of these guys, no one has made in ML in terms of Van Jefferson and Tutu was a rookie last year, second round pick. Van Jefferson was a rookie 2 years ago, second round pick. Puka Nakua was a fifth round pick, if I remember correctly, out of BYU.
You know better
So
than me.
I mean, for me, I think that if I'm going with one of these guys, my heart says Nakua because he presents the most upside, the most unknown of the group.
I mean,
Like it's not,
sure.
but at the same time, like, eh. So how are you feeling? Like, if you had to take one of these guys, if you're on the waiver wire and you can only pick up one of them, which one are you picking up?
Like for week one, definitely Van Jefferson. Like if I have to plug him into my lineup, if it's not a super urgent matter, I'll take the rookie. Get the stash. Maybe he picks it up later in the year, but for week one, I don't think he's gonna have a huge role. It's rarely like that. So Van Jefferson, I think, was a sneaky decent pick late in drafts, with considering the cup situation. So if you just need a plug and play, he's available. I'd consider.
All right. That was our last piece of news. Remember, please join us for the second half of this podcast on patreon.com/Broto Fantasy. We love you guys. Thank you for your support. As little as $3. That is literally less than the cup of coffee you buy in the morning. That's it. Just sacrifice, just make one cup of coffee at home, and that's it. You've paid for the best fantasy resource that you could possibly
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
It's like it's a no-brainer. Come check us out, patreon.com/Broto Fantasy. Until then, we bid you adieu. Peace out.
Bye bye.